Good morning, wrestling fans, and welcome to PWR Today for Friday morning. It's July 3rd, 2020. We are a day away from Independence Day, Matthew. You know, July 3rd in the Milwaukee area has always been the Big Bang Day because we had one of those major bank-sponsored TV broadcast type of fireworks displays. I was the day before, and 2020 is not going to be the same. By the way, good morning, Matthew Thomas.
Good morning. I was just captivated by your story on the Big Bang.
I have a theory on the Big Bang.
Oh, is that a theory you have?
All right, so the pun was bad, and I'm just going to move on. Big Bang theory.
I got what you were going for there.
Yeah, you were picking up what I was laying down. Yeah, we're a day away from Independence Day. It's going to be tomorrow, and a real quick story here. Tomorrow will mark the 2-year anniversary of my introduction to the Sons of Cudahy. You ever hear of them? Because there's the Sons of Anarchy, the original Redwood, but I met the Sons of Cudahy 2 years ago.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. It's for another show because honestly, it's about a 5 to 6 minute story. But ask me when you get a chance about the Sons of Cudahy.
Note to self: ask Meathead about the Sons of Cudahy.
All right, let's do a little business here. First off, make sure you're liking, make sure you're subscribing. We just had brand new content yesterday pop from Damian, Dave, and Shane Helms. And Shane Helms, as per the usual, on Wednesday with the Beat a Booker, beat David Hero again. So Dave's going to have to really start investing in some Hurricane merchandise. When you keep losing to the Hurricane, stand back. I need to spend the Amex a little bit more on more Hurricane merchandise.
That's always good to mix up the old wardrobe.
Yeah, he was a collar and elbow guy, but now he's going to be just a strict Hurricane guy because he's going to end up with a week's worth of Hurricane clothes. Coming up tonight.
One for each day of the week. I mean, I think that's reasonable.
Fair enough. Coming up tonight, we've got Smackdown. And Matthew, the segment that they're really promoting heavily is going to be the Seamus raising a glass to Jeff Hardy. I thought that was last week's segment. Am I wrong?
Apparently you are. I wish this would have been 3 or 4 weeks ago segment. So
we could be 3 or 4 weeks away from it?
Yes. But apparently not the case.
Yeah. If you were thinking 3 or 4 weeks ago, you're not thinking of that big apple juice glass being raised, right? Because, I'm still pissed about that.
Okay. I can't say that nothing good has come out of this angle because I did enjoy that.
Seamus is going to raise a glass to Jeff Hardy. So, we're not done with Seamus and Jeff Hardy, even though I'd like to see him move on. What's the payoff? What's the end game for Seamus and Jeff Hardy? There's no belts involved. Jeff lost at a pay-per-view to Seamus already. What is the end game in this?
I think it's to make everyone watching feel very uncomfortable.
Well, we could also have, Mae Young give birth to a hand again.
Yeah, no, it's possible. No, I feel it's kind of the same feeling, a little reminiscent of the Jericho Punk angle with him dragging Punk's father into it, and kind of that same cringe that you got in TNA when you were going Kurt Angle, Jeff Jarrett feud after the divorce.
No, you know which one I got the cringe from? What's was that? Her name? Oh, and I said it even up until a couple of years ago. What was her name during the whole?
Are you talking
Dixie
about
AJ's
Lynch? No, right?
Katie Lynch?
No. I think her last name was Lynch, right?
You want to talk about cringeworthy? The stalker that was stalking AJ? Oh man! Wow.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Matthew. Talk on.
I'm trying to get the name. I remember the angle, and I think Lynch was in the name. I think the last name was Lynch. I'm struggling with the first name right now.
Continue on.
Oh yeah, that was rough. That's when you had AJ waking up after he'd been drugged or he was drunk or something, waking up in the hotel room.
Right.
Yeah, you got a name yet, Meathead?
No, you got to keep stretching. It's worth a Google. And everybody listening to obviously the podcast here is screaming the name, of course, but I can't find it. I literally typed into Google who stalked AJ Styles in TNA.
And you got nothing from that?
I got nothing from that. Claire Lynch.
Yes. Yes. I knew I was right.
So I typed in Lynch at the end. The Claire Lynch angle is hands down the worst storyline in TNA history. It began nonchalantly with AJ feuding with the tag duo Bad Influence when it was revealed that he was having an affair with Dixie Carter. Yes, you read that correctly, which was obviously a hoax. Wow. Claire Lynch.
AJ's come a long ways, hadn't he?
Claire, there's videos out there. Claire brings photographic proof of AJ Styles' infidelity.
Oh man, that might require a little rewatch on our part.
Now I said Bad Influence. Again, of course, we diverge off of SmackDown. Who is Bad Influence? I have it in front of me, so I already know the answer. Who is Bad Influence, Matthew?
That was Kaz and Daniels, right?
Yes, sir. It's a freshly bald Kaz and the Fallen Angel, Christopher Daniels. So yeah, that was absolutely. I mean, I love those guys as a team. Obviously, they're SCU now in AEW. But Claire Lynch, you know why I kept going away from the K? Because I wanted to stay away from Katie Vick, and I kept mentally going towards Katie Vick, going, that's not it, that's not it, that's not it. Ugh, Claire Lynch. Yeah, by far one of the worst. But, again, back to Seamus and Hardy, really, what's the end game? Give me a legit answer. Sell me a story that makes sense.
I think they're eventually going... Jeff Hardy comes out on top and defeats the bully Sheamus, and he wins the war, so to speak, and you're supposed to feel all nice and warm inside.
Yeah, I don't know, man. AJ Styles, speaking of, and Drew Gulak are going to go head to head for an Intercontinental Championship clash. This just seems like a holding pattern for AJ Styles right now. What is AJ waiting for that he's wrestling with Drew Gulak for the IC belt?
I think
is he waiting for Claire Lynch?
Well, he might be. Oh, wouldn't that be wonderful? Wouldn't that be a wonderful little?
I need to side off. I need to sidetrack off on this too. That would be a cross-company angle, right? That would go TNA into WWE. I can only recall in my history. Again, you folks, chime in and hit us up in the comments. I can only recall one other angle that ever happened where a person from another company joined in on the angle in a new company. I'll give you a hint. He used to be a guy who drove the ring, hung around Les Champions in WCW, and out of nowhere one day showed up in WWF. Had a lot of missing teeth. Well, actually, they were summer teeth, because some are teeth and some are not.
Well, there you go. You got to be fashionable with your with the current season you're in.
Matthew, Ralphus.
Oh, pulling out Ralphus, huh?
And again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Ralphus also showed up in WWF after Jericho was over there.
I'll have to go back and skim the old network.
We'll have to skim the old network indeed. All right, so AJ is going to wrestle Drew Gulak. Like I said, I feel like it's a holding pattern. I don't know what we're waiting for on that. And speaking on what we're waiting for, Matt Riddle will step into the ring for an exclusive interview with Michael Cole. I don't want to be that guy, but we have to say it. If the first question is not, can you respond to the allegations? I'm not really interested in this interview.
Yeah, I don't know that it's going to be addressed in any way, shape, or form in storyline format. I mean, I think it's going to be just introducing everybody to this new kid on the block on SmackDown.
Again, we wouldn't be broadcast journalists if we didn't say it. Again, I'm not trying to be out of line by saying it. I'm not trying to be, funny about it, because it's all very serious business. But if that first question isn't, can we address the ongoing allegations, I don't care. And Matt Riddle is dead to me on SmackDown because it doesn't work for me. Because you have to either A, pull him off TV until you get it cleared, B, acknowledge it and clear it, or C, he's got to be gone, period.
Think you're going to be ready to be disappointed?
I think I am too. And I think the company will do what they do. So, Matthew, that's SmackDown for tonight. It's ironic that I brought up Miss Mae Young earlier in the program, because guess what we watched? We watched Mark Henry on the Broken Skull Ranch. What did you think?
I enjoyed it in the fact that a little bit different than a lot of the guests you've had thus far. on Broken Skull Ranch. You've had Taker, you've had Kane, a
Bret
lot of
Hart.
people that,
Yep.
Bret Hart, a lot of people that that most viewers were familiar with a lot of their backstory. And Mark Henry's one of those guys that I can honestly say I did not have the familiarity with him like I did a Taker or a Kane or a Bret Hart. So this one, I actually really liked getting a lot of that backstory that me personally, I was just unaware of.
So some of the things I was aware of already was Mark Henry got this huge contract coming off of the Olympics as the world's strongest man. I think the rumors were, and again I can't confirm, it was like a 10 million 10-year deal or something like that.
Yeah, it was a lengthy contract from what I recall.
Yeah, because Vince wanted this huge marketable guy, and as you saw in the pictures with the red, white, and blue beanie on his head, they were going to have this American hero, which was technically a prelude to what they ended up tagging on to Kurt Angle, if you really think about it. Because they also pulled Kurt Angle, and Kurt Angle debuted in 98 or 99. I don't remember what year. But, it was something that Vince was excited about. And, it's funny that Mark says this because he came in 96 and 97. I don't know exactly what year it was. And he said in the first 3 years, he didn't learn shit, is what he said. They put him with the right guys. They had him with Ron Simmons. They had him driving Yokozuna around. And, he said he went to his first strip club, which is great because the yoke is shown in the buoys in the strip club, so obviously that's going to work out nice. But then you have Rock driving Mark Henry around because he didn't like him white knuckling at 100 miles an hour. But in the Nation of Domination, he went under the wing of Ron Simmons. And Ron Simmons, he said, there really isn't anybody I'm afraid of, but, I kind of feared Ron Simmons. And it makes sense because, the way they sold it, and this is absolutely true, Ron Simmons is a god at Florida State. I mean, he had his number retired. And we're talking about a school that had Deion Sanders. Ron Simmons is the man at Florida State.
And it's interesting. We got a double dose of the Nation because the Ron Simmons picture show that we watched last week, and then this, and just really, to me, just really kind of circle back around on what an interesting faction the Nation was, and what a jumping off point for Mark Henry and The Rock. I mean, what a crop of good young talent in there that would go on to do major things, I think, around that time period, a few years later. But you always hear Evolution brought up as the stable that had
Batista and Orton.
Young Batista and Orton. But my goodness, the Nation, with Mark Henry and The Rock, and really where The Rock really cut his teeth and developed that Rock character. Because if not for Nation of Domination Rock, I mean, I think the trajectory of The Rock's career and of that character would be much different than we eventually got, because it was him turning heel, joining the Nation, that really led to The Rock that we know.
Yeah, absolutely. We would have a different Rock for sure, because the Rock that they brought into the Nation was Rocky Maivia with this really curly hair and this whatever he was wearing. So, and I mean, it's ironic too, because a really good faction, stable, family, whatever you want to call them, has the veterans, has the mid guy, and it has the young guys that bring them up. Thing about Evolution, you've got Ric Flair, the legend. You've got Triple H, the top of the game right there, and the two young bucks. No pun intended on, the young bucks.
They were in the Nation?
No, they probably were under that Vanilla Ice gimmick. But I mean, think about it, those kind of groups. I mean, technically Randy Orton wasn't even supposed to be in Batista wasn't even supposed to be in Evolution. It's supposed to be Mark Jindrak. And it just didn't work out for him. And think where Mark Jindrak would be instead of Batista. Deacon Batista might have been a deacon and gone off and done something else at some point. I've loved listening to Mark Henry talk. I personally kept listening for the spot where I ran into Mark Henry one time, which was in Milwaukee at a show. And I knew that it was during the time when he was sent to OVW. So I forgot about the Canada stuff, where he got sent to Canada first to work with Stu, and then got sent to OVW to unfortunately lose some weight. A Big Show was sent down to OVW as well at that time. And, Dave Hero had booked a show called Body Slams on Ice. And I believe the main event was Big Show versus Mark Henry. That's where we did our interview, if you go back in the PWR annals, with Jim Cornette. It was Jim Cornette was working OVW, And the main event was Big Show and Mark Henry. It was a great show. Amazing show, actually. I absolutely loved it.
Were there ice skates involved at this event?
No, it was the Milwaukee Admirals hockey game, and then at the end of the game, they had the ring suspended in the air, and they, did the flashing lights and all that, and the ring was put down on the ice, and they put on, I think it was 3 to 4 matches. You can always ask Dave on that one because it was his show.
Wow.
Him and Cousin Jack put on body slams on ice, so fantastic stuff. I appreciate Dave more than you guys know because Dave, I'm just some meathead, right? I mean, I'm just some guy. He already had a working relationship with Damian and everybody else, and I'm just some meathead, and to have me around for that kind of stuff is amazing. So definitely appreciate the guys. I got to see more Big Show that night than I really wanted to. I know Damian saw it too, and Frank saw it too. Frank's been emotionally scarred. That's why he's not around anymore. Good old Kaz got emotionally scarred by all the Big Show that we saw that night. So
he's a large man. There's a lot of
and so is the Big Show. Just kidding, Frank. Ha 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 ha. Frank has lost a lot of weight. Frank looks good. So, but as far as the Mark Henry and the Broken Skull Ranch stuff, he can be very intimidating. I mean, we're kind of glossing over the Mae Young stuff, and we can come back to that. But when they got to the Hall of Pain, Mark Henry, the whole rib on I didn't know this, the whole rib on the dark match, and he's got Chimmel announcing, "Hey fans, don't forget we're going to be coming. We're happy you're here. Thanks for coming out." And Mark Henry's just fuming in the ring, and Vince did it. He didn't do this on purpose, but Vince is a genius at this. You see that face? You see that anger? Can you channel that? Because I'll make that man a world champion.
Never heard that story. That was new to me. I remember the Hall of Pain, and I remember really enjoying the late career resurgence that Mark Henry had during that gimmick when he just turned it up another notch. Probably my favorite thing from that entire period. And I don't think we got a recap of it on there, but absolutely loved it when it happened, when he came out. And it was him. It started the program with him and Cena. It was him announcing his retirement, correct?
I remember that. You and I were doing Meltdown at that point.
Yes. And it brought Cena out, and that was that's how we got Mark Henry, Cena. But yeah, just one of the best angles that I recall from that time period.
Yeah. Now let's go back to Mae Young and China, really. And I want to kind of side shoot off onto China for a second. I'm glad that the WWE is talking about her again. Okay. We know the mistakes she made. We know she's not around anymore. Obviously, her not being around anymore, it's easy to talk about her now. Dave had her at 2 to 3 Blizzard Brawls ago, I believe. This was, obviously Blizzard Brawls are in December, and she had passed some time after that. So it was one of her last wrestling appearances. But it's good to hear about it because you know what? I like China. I liked China was fun when she was DX China. Then when she became Mamacita China, I enjoyed that. The big machine gun China, when she was a co-intercontinental champion, 3-way matches with the boys, and she was wrestling head-to-head with the men. I love that China. That China was great. I also technically like the Playboy China as well. That was fun too. So Mark Henry, Sexual Chocolate, taking out China to the hotel. Wait, is that D'Lo? No, that's not D'Lo. Good stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, just an extremely entertaining gimmick for Mark Henry, the whole Sexual Chocolate era, and it just goes to show. I mean, how much that character has kind of spanned both ends of the spectrum. You've got kind of
he's an Attitude Era guy still too.
No, you're exactly right.
Let's talk about Mae real quick. I absolutely love the story we get about Mae Young, making sure she was getting respect in the locker room from the boys.
Yeah, I mean, a swift nutshot will do that in a second.
Yeah, Mae Young was a tough old broad. I mean, he was trying not to say it exactly like I just said it, but that's what he meant when he says this woman had an anchor on her forearm, like she was a sailor. She wasn't taking shit from nobody, pretty much.
And you look at the insane spots, too, that she was taking
the
during
Bubba Bomb from Bubba Ray Dudley.
During that time period. I mean, that footage today is still just absolutely insane to watch.
And then, we saw her top half, too, at a Royal Rumble, I think it was, where Charity King Lawler says, put him away.
That's right.
I think it was, no, she, yes, let's see the puppies, and she dropped her top, is what it was.
Is that censored on the network to the best of your knowledge?
I don't know, but Matthew, I'm not going back to look for that. Disgusting.
As a broadcast journalist, you need
As a
to
broadcast
know
journalist,
things.
I know it happened is what happened, and I don't need to see it again. I think Kat was around too, because that's when Jerry was with Kat for a while. So remember, Jerry lost his quit because something had happened with Kat, and she left, so he decided to leave and whatever. So that has been our time, folks. So we kind of were all over the place. Smackdown tonight. Nice little look at Broken Skull Ranch with Mark Henry. Folks, we've got more content coming up. Make sure you're liking and subscribing so we can get all the notifications of the new stuff popping up. We will talk to Linda Kay Monday morning. For Matthew Thomas, I'm the man they call Meathead. Thanks for stopping by. So long, everyone.